Good afternoon. My name's Daisy Sampson and I'm the editor of the Portugal News and your host today for our live webinar, Live the Dream, Golf, Luxury and Lifestyle in Portugal, your ultimate guide to Boavista. Thank you for joining us. We're here today, live at the Boavista Golf and Spa Resort on the outskirts of the beautiful city of Lagos in the Western Algarve. This is one of my personal favourite places in the Algarve, not just because of the stunning beaches, but also because of the vibrant community that live and visit here, both Portuguese and international, which makes this place a very, very special place, not only in Portugal, but also the Algarve. Today we've been joined by lots of people all around the world, so I'd like to welcome you all. And before we get started, I'd like to remind everybody who is viewing that we are running a very special competition. So one of you lucky viewers will be having the chance of winning a 7-night stay for 2 people right here at the Boavista Golf and Spa Resort, including round-trip flights from either the USA or Canada, airport transfers, daily breakfast, spa and golf access, and all of this is worth an incredible €7,000. So make sure to stay with us until the end to see if you have been the lucky winner. So I think it's about time we introduce our panel of experts today. First of all, we have Mr. Philip Pope here to my left. He is the Managing Director of Boavista Golf and Spa Resort. He has over 10 years of experience managing Boavista's property sales and is an expert in Algarve real estate and helping international buyers find their ideal home or investment. Good afternoon, Philip.
Good afternoon.
Then we have over here Teresa Patricio. She is the founder and managing partner of Teresa Patricio and Associados. She has more than 20 years of experience in Portuguese property law and advises international buyers on risk-free transactions, title checks and contracts. Afternoon.
Afternoon. Thank you, Daisy.
Then over to Vicky Rodrigues. She is a senior legal consultant and partner in residency law. She is a specialist in D7 and Golden Visa programs and can help North Americans secure residency and manage the legal paperwork from abroad.
Thank you, Daisy.
Thank you. We then have Manuela Robinson. She is the Country Manager and Associate Director of Portugal for Black Tower Financial Management Group. She's a trusted advisor for expat investors and assists with wealth management, pensions and tax-efficient relocation. Welcome.
Thank you.
And finally, flown in from the UK, especially for today, we have Chloe Dean, who is a Senior Account Management at Lumen Pay and supports property buyers with large cross-border transfers and offers market guidance and great currency rates. Thank you. So I think without further ado, we should pass over to Mr. Philip Pope, who will explain a little bit more about the Boavista experience. Over to you.
Thanks, Daisy. Good day, and thank you for joining us. As Daisy was saying, we're situated, Boavista is situated between the historic town of Lagos and the fishing village of Luge. It's a golf and leisure resort and basically promotes residential tourism. The community is designed for a variety of lifestyles, covering long-term residents, second home owners, wellness-minded vacationers, families looking for a safe and enriching experience, or couples seeking romantic escapes or scenic settings. At the heart of the development is a championship golf course. The golf itself has panoramic views of Lagos, the Lagos Bay and the Monchique Mountains. It also has support services like the driving range, the short game practice area. We offer a golf academy with professionals who can give you all the practice you need, whether you're a proficient or just a beginner. A pro shop and that gives stocks of global brand of products. And we regularly host tournaments and events. Right next door is our wellness and fitness centre, which is Essential Fitness. This has the indoor pool, jacuzzi, sauna and steam room, a Technic gym equipped fitness centre with personal trainers, massage facilities, body treatments, waxing, all the beautician stuff that people here have grown to expect, as well as outdoor terraces and pools for the whole family to enjoy. We also have under construction now an up-and-coming 4-star hotel. As I said, this is already in progress, and that is due to be open to the latter part of next year, beginning of the year after. Recreation and community services are offered on the resort. We have indoor-outdoor pools, tennis and paddle courts with coaching, playgrounds, Pilates classes, walking paths all along the cliff tops, these that are greatly enjoyed, as well as bridge and other sorts of clubs. So there's a variety of community activities. The clubhouse is the social centre of Boavista. Here in the restaurant we offer a la carte meals all day, as well as sunny terraces both overlooking the golf course as well as the Lagos Bay. And you can enjoy cocktails, live music, as well as summer barbecues. Careways Management Services, which is our in-resort property management service, they offer our owners and guests a concierge level support service, as well as housekeeping, repairs and bookings. As far as the real estate is concerned, we have approximately 740 properties when finished on this resort. And we're currently two-thirds of our way, more than two-thirds of the way through our development. So we're coming towards the end. The resort itself is therefore really well established. The actual products we sell, they're two core ownership models. There's the Bayview Residences, which is a fully managed lock and leave type of product. It has exclusive access to our Bayview Fitness, where there's indoor-outdoor pools, gyms and so forth. And these properties are fully serviced. Landscaping, maintenance, internet, telephone, security services are all taken care of. These are ideal for buyers wanting zero hassle and a strong rental performance. Standalone homes, so their other product, they're more independent ownership with optional services through Careways. Owners choose how much support they want. Perfect for those who are long-term residents or primary residents. The properties themselves vary right the way from apartments up to elegant very established luxury villas. For those who want an elegant, simple property with views over the bay or the golf course, we offer 2-bedroom apartments. They have underground car parking often, as well as spacious balconies. And they're really ideal for those people who don't want the hassle of more larger properties. If you're looking for single level living, then we offer bungalows. They're in limited numbers. But they're just they offer more privacy, if you like, and they're just a small step away from the facilities. Property owners that are looking, with family orientations, need a little bit more space, they gravitate towards semi-detached or townhouses. These are 3 or 4 bedrooms, again with garages or without, have direct access to pools. These properties are ideal for those who want longer stays or as multi-generational getaways. At the top end, Boavista has its detached properties. They deliver expansive outdoor living with upper level terraces, dramatic views over the golf course or sea views, private gardens. And with the ultimate luxury, we have a prestige product, which are private pools, en-suite bedrooms throughout, and designer finishings, crafted for those who expect really the very best. Property options. Well, Boavista offers more than just a place to stay. It offers a property that fits a lifestyle in a resort that feels like home. On behalf of Boavista, I'd like to welcome you to explore the ownership in the Algarve, in this Algarvian resort, where we'll be pleased to help you every step of the way.
Thank you, Philip. Now we're going to pass over to Teresa, who's going to talk a little bit about the legal aspects of buying a property in Portugal. Over to you, Teresa.
Thank you, Daisy. First of all, I'd like to thank for the Portugal News and also for Boavista, in the person of Mr. Philip Pope, for having us here. It's a pleasure. And I'm speaking about buying a property in Portugal. And just a slight introduction. I'm the founding partner of TPA. I'm here with my colleague Vicky Rodrigues. We are a law firm based in Lisbon and also in the Algarve. And we've been providing legal services for international and national clients for more than 20 years. And so what brings us here today? We are going to address two main issues. One is the main reasons to purchase a property in Portugal, and we've heard most of the reasons before by Mr. Philip Pope, but regarding the legal side, we would say that it can be either to an investment route or for residence. So if you want to invest in a property in Portugal, you can rent it for a long-term or short-term rental. You can have a house just to spend your holidays. Or if you are searching for residency, it's because you even intend to move to Portugal. And also this residency will be a proof of accommodation to obtain the visa. And that's very important. My colleague Vicky Rodrigues will address the visa options afterwards. And you probably need a main house and a property to prove before the entities that you are currently living in Portugal. The other theme that we would like to address is we have been searching the most questions, the frequently asked questions from our clients, and we have chosen 9, which I believe most of you will have. And so question number 1 is, how do I start the process of buying a property in Portugal? And step 1 is to request a Portuguese tax number. It's called NIF in Portugal, and third country residents will require a Portuguese tax representative to have a Portuguese tax number. The NIF is mandatory to purchase a property, and it's also mandatory to open a Portuguese bank account. Question number 2. Do I have to come to Portugal to sign to go through the completion process? And we can say, no, you don't need. You can grant a power of attorney on behalf of a lawyer, for example, and provided that this power of attorney is either signed in the Portuguese consulate or it's signed in a notary and duly apostille, is completely valid in Portugal, and the process can be done in Portugal without your physical presence. And now question number 3, which is linked to this question also. Do I have to open a bank account in Portugal? You don't need to open a bank account in Portugal. You can make all the transactions via a lawyer's client's account, for example. But if you require financing, in this case, yes, you need to open a bank account and, of course, go through the financing of a Portuguese bank account, a Portuguese bank. Question number 4. What are the main stages in buying a property? Question number 4, and we consider there's 4 stages. So the first one is the reservation. Reservation is when you pay an amount, a reservation fee, to take the property off the market. And that gives you time to analyze the documents, to have a lawyer to conduct all the necessary searches, and to go through the second stage, which is due diligence. And in the due diligence, you confirm if the property is duly registered at the seller's name, or the one that appears in the seller's name, and if there are no illegal works. So please note that in Portugal, we have the land registry certificate, the tax department certificate, the document from the municipality, so they all have to match together. They all have to have the same areas in the property, and so this needs to be analyzed carefully. Then we go to the stage of the promissory contract. Usually the promissory contract is the document where all the conditions of the deal are provided, and a deposit is paid. 10, 20%, 30%, it depends on a case-by-case situation. But please note that in Portugal, the deposit goes directly to the seller, and there's no escrow in these cases. So there's an element of risk, and that's why it's important that the promissory contract usually, all the clauses safeguard the position of the seller and also of the buyer. And then the last stage is completion. And completion is when the transfer of ownership occurs. It's a deed, and it can be made at a notary or now with also a lawyer. And that's where the transfer of ownership occurs, and that's the last step. Of course, then that's the registration of all the ownership occurs in the land registry and tax department afterwards. So maybe you have this question in your heads. 5, how long does the process take? And there's not really a legal answer for that, because there's no legal time frame. It depends on the situation, on the will of the parties, and also it depends if financing is required or not, because usually then it's the bank that books the deed for the completion. So there's not really a legal time frame, but we would say in the normal process, and if the property is not off plan, usually it takes about 60 to 90 days. And then another question that I'm sure you might have, which is what taxes are due? And that would be our question number 6. Well, we have 2 taxes. It's the transfer tax in Portugal, it's EMT, and this is calculating on a sliding scale, and it depends according to if the property is urban or rural, and also if it's for primary or secondary residence. And then there's stamp duty, and stamp duty is 0.8% of the purchase price. And if you request financing, there's an additional stamp duty of 0.6% on the value of the loan. Question number 7, are there any additional costs? Well, there's the notary fees for the deeds. There's the registration fees that occurs at the land registry. So when there's the completion and when the deed is signed, it's necessary to register at the land registry the transfer of ownership. So there's those fees. And of course, there's also legal fees involved. Question number 9. How do I prove I own the property? And we have a lot of clients making this question because the system is different. So you don't need really a deed. So the deed occurs at the notary, but it's not the deed that proves the ownership. It's the land registry certificate and also the tax department, the certificate. And so anyone who wants to know who is the owner of this property can go to the land registry and confirm who is the current owner. And as I said, it's signed before a notary or a lawyer, the deed, so all the process goes through these stages. And last, our question number 9. What are my tax obligations as a property owner? And so after completion, you own the property, and there's an annual council tax that is payable. It depends on the municipalities, the value, and it's according to the tax value of the property. It's calculated like this and can be paid once a year or 3 times a year. It depends also on the value. And in case you have rental income, and even if you're not a non-resident, you will need to file a tax return in Portugal for this income. So please take note of this. And if you sell the property, you also need to pay capital gains on this sale afterwards. And so we can say that our advice is always to seek legal advice and tax advice when you're purchasing a property in Portugal, and always have a satisfactory legal due diligence to ensure that the property is legal owned and has no charges against it. Thank you.
Thank you, Teresa. Some very important points there. And if you're not sure and you haven't taken down some of the details of what Teresa was going through, at the end of the webinar, you will be contacted and the information will be shared with you. Thank you. So now it's over to Vicky. Vicky's going to talk to us a little bit about residency and visa options. Over to you.
Thank you, Daisy. Thank you very much to everyone who's watching. Today I'll be speaking briefly, because we don't have a lot of time, about the immigration process and also the different visa options that are available if your intention is to come to Portugal. So the first question that you should be asking if you're looking at coming to Portugal is whether or not you intend to physically move to the country, or if you just want to have legal residency without the need to move your tax residency to Portugal as well. So if it's the latter and you don't really want to live in Portugal, the only residency option is the golden visa, because you only need to spend on average 7 days per year in Portugal, but you are a legal resident. If you want to move to Portugal and also move your tax residency to Portugal, then there are options depending on what your individual situation is. So we'll look at this case first, moving to Portugal, and it's essentially a 2-stage process. We have the first step that takes place in your country of residence, where you apply for a visa at the Portuguese consulate. And then we have a second step that takes place in Portugal already before the immigration authorities, and that's where you effectively get your residency permit. So when you commence this process at the Portuguese consulate, you have to book an appointment at the consulate, and this is done via a company that regulates all these appointments, known as VFS Global, and then they'll get you the appointment at the consulate, and it will vary according to the type of visa that you're applying for. There are a number of visas. I'll just list a few of the most important ones, but today we'll be speaking about the D7, or the passive income visa, which is the most popular. So for example, if you come to Portugal to work, you'd apply for D1 employment visa. If you've come to set up a company or act as a sole trader, then you'll apply for D2, or an entrepreneur visa. If you're bringing your family with you, the D6 family reunification visa is essential. Again, as I said, the passive income, or D7 visa, is the most popular one that we have in terms of our clients. And a recent one is the digital nomad, or D8 visa, and that enables someone who can work from anywhere in the world to come to Portugal and work here for a foreign employer. So let's start with the D7 passive income visa, and this applies if you are retired, or if you live from passive income or intellectual property income, or any financial investments that you may have. So what you need to prove in order to apply for this visa is 6 main criteria. First of all, you need your Portuguese tax number, similar to what Teresa mentioned. Then you also need to provide, if you're in the United States, a state and federal criminal record. It's very important to get the timing right, because this document is only valid for 3 months. You also need to have travel insurance that provides you with adequate medical coverage, so that you're not a burden on the Portuguese health authorities if you do come to Portugal. You need to prove that you are receiving a regular income from retirement or rental or any other type of passive income, and this has to be higher than the minimum wage in Portugal, which is currently €870 per month. Once you're in Portugal, you need to have a Portuguese bank account and prove that you have means of subsistence. What does this mean? This means that you have to have deposited in that account a minimum amount equivalent to 12 times the annual minimum salary. So it's 10,500 euros, more or less. And if you're bringing your family members, you need half of this amount for your spouse and a third of this amount for your children. In Portugal, you also need to provide proof that you have accommodation, and it's very important because this is where your residency card will be sent to when it's issued. It's not mandatory to purchase a property, but you can and use that as proof of residence, or you can sign a lease agreement on a property in Portugal. In this case, we always advise you to have at least a 1-year lease agreement as a proof of accommodation. So in terms of the actual process, we're now on step 2. You have your visa on your passport and you come into Portugal. This visa is valid for 4 months and it allows you 2 entries in the country. Once you come in on this visa, normally and hopefully, you'll come already with a biometrics appointment at the immigration authorities. And then once you've had this biometrics appointment, your residency card will be issued and sent by post to the address that you've indicated in Portugal. But what if you want to have legal residency without moving to Portugal? So you maintain your residency in the United States or in Canada, but you are qualified to have a legal residency in the country. To do this, you have to make a qualifying investment, and this provides you with a residence permit. It does allow you to live and work in Portugal if you want to, but in terms of minimum stay requirements, you only need to spend on average 7 days per year. The benefit of the Golden Visa is that you can travel visa-free through the 27 Schengen countries. I know this isn't an issue for Canada and the US because you don't need a Schengen visa, but for countries like South Africa, for example, it's very important to them. It gives them the freedom of movement. Please note, however, that you cannot live and work anywhere in the EU, only in Portugal. So the Golden Visa, although it does allow you to travel, it only gives you residency rights in Portugal. In addition, you're allowed to bring your family members with you. So with one investment, you can include your spouse, your dependent children, your parents, and if you really, really want to, your parents-in-law as well. In terms of the investment itself, the minimum period is 5 years for the investment, and you have to fulfill that minimum stay of 7 days per year. This program is only available to non-EU citizens, so you have to be a citizen of a third country. And the investment that you opt for, you can do either as an individual, or you can make the investment through a single shareholder company if you don't want to hold it into your individual name. There are different investment routes available in order to qualify for this, but please note that property purchase is no longer an option anymore. So how do we go about doing this investment? I've mentioned here just the most popular investment route at the moment, which is the transfer of 500,000 euros for the acquisition of shares into a non-real estate collective investment fund. So this fund has to be incorporated under Portuguese law. It has to have a maturity of at least 5 years, and 60% of the value of the investments must be carried out in Portuguese companies. So those are the requirements for the investment. And in terms of practical steps, how you go about getting the Golden Visa is you obtain your Portuguese tax number, as Teresa said. This is always step 1 in anything you want to do in Portugal. And in this case, it is mandatory for you to open a Portuguese bank account, because one of the documents you need to show is that there was an effective international transfer of funds from your account abroad into the Portuguese bank account. Once you have the funds in Portugal, you invest in the fund that you've chosen, and then you obtain at the same time all the personal documents that are required for the application. And only once you have all this ready can you then submit your process at the immigration authorities. In terms of the validity of the residency card, for normal residency cards, these are valid for 2 years, and then you renew them for a further 3 years. For Golden Visa holders, they're valid for 2 years, and you renew for 2 years. And on renewal, all these documents that you had to submit initially have to be resubmitted, and you require an appointment at the authorities to do this. So what happens after 5 years? So currently, after 5 years of legal residency, you have the option of either applying for permanent residency or you can also apply for Portuguese citizenship. But please note that you do have to have knowledge of the Portuguese language in both these cases. So what we usually advise clients is if Portuguese citizenship is something that they are after, that they start on the Portuguese language program as soon as they get their residency visa and not leave it to year 5 so that they don't have that extra hurdle in terms of getting citizenship. So thank you very much for your attention, and I hope that was helpful.
Thank you very much, Vicky. Could I just ask everybody at home if you could please let us know your name and also where you're viewing us from in the chats while you're watching, if that's possible. Thanks. Now we'll be moving on to Manuela Robinson. She's going to be talking to us about financial considerations, something very important when considering moving to Portugal. Over to you, Manuela.
Okay, well, thank you, Daisy, and thank you, Portugal News. And also thank you to all of you joining us here today. So when moving to Portugal, both Americans, Canadians, what financial aspects should they consider? But also not just Americans or Canadians, anyone moving to Portugal, what should they consider? So one of the things and one of the issues is tax residency, obviously, which Vicky addressed earlier on. However, I just want to add that you may become subject to Portuguese taxes on your worldwide income, depending on how long you stay in Portugal. So you need to deal with your residency quite quickly. Social security contributions. You need to determine if you should continue to pay US or Canadian social security taxes, or alternatively, if you should start contributing to the Portuguese system. Find out what are the advantages, what are the disadvantages in doing that. Another important point is estate planning. You need to review your estate planning and inheritance laws in your country and how they might interact with the Portuguese laws. One thing I always recommend, and it's very, very important, is review your will when you move to Portugal. Have a lawyer look at this. It's very, very important. Taxation as a non-resident. Check what taxes, based on your estate, your assets, your holdings, you will have to pay as a non-resident. If any, of course, you may not have to pay any, but it's important for you to know. Banking and investments is another issue. Research how to manage your local bank accounts. Check if you can actually carry on holding them as a non-resident, because a lot of banks actually will not allow you to carry on having a bank account if you become a non-resident. If you are holding any brokerage accounts or GIAs, so general investment accounts, any financial accounts, excuse me, understand if those providers can still service you as a non-resident. Most of them are actually not allowed. And what are the tax implications with leaving your financial portfolios back home? If you have any other investment structures, review these to see what needs to change and when with your new residency status. Pensions and retirements. Understand how your US or Canadian pensions or any other private pensions income will be taxed in Portugal, especially for US citizens holding retirement accounts like Roths, IRAs, 401ks, etc. These should be left in the US and not cashed in. If you do cash these in, you will have a huge tax liability. So all of these things are things that you should consider, you should look at before moving to Portugal. However, there are also several financial incentives that you should consider, that you should look into with the moving to Portugal, or to any other country for that matter. Tax treaties, both US and Canada have tax treaties in place with Portugal, which is great because this avoids double taxation. Actually, Portugal has tax treaties in place with more than 80 countries. The second option here is the Golden Visa program. Again, this is great if you don't intend to spend too many days in Portugal, you just want to come and go and just have that residency or that visa, this will allow investors obviously to obtain residency through qualifying investments or job creations. Access to tax-efficient vehicles. We all want to pay less taxes, so trusts are not tax efficient in Portugal, and I do need to emphasize this because a lot of people, trusts are very tax efficient in their home country, especially South Africans and the likes, but it is not tax efficient in Portugal. However, we do have other tax efficient vehicles that we can offer and that you can have access to and take advantage of. Tax benefits on foreign income. Portugal has favorable tax rates for certain types of investment incomes. Now, the NHR, as we know it, and as a lot of you were aware, it was a hot topic, NHR. We do not have that regime anymore. It came to an end. However, we do have a new regime that has come into place, the IFICI, Tax Incentive for Scientific Research and Innovation, but also known and much easier to say, the NHR2. So this is a tax regime that can provide significant tax benefits for new residents, including exemptions or even reduced rates on certain foreign income. It is designed to attract highly skilled professionals to Portugal. You would need to have a doctorate degree or a bachelor's degree with a minimum of 3 years experience to qualify. You also will only be paying a flat tax rate of 20% on income derived from eligible employment or self-employment activities for up to 10 years, making it a really attractive option for professionals looking to relocate. Additionally, income earned abroad, except pensions, this is the big difference between the first NHR and the second NHR, so pensions are taxed, is tax exempt in Portugal under this tax regime. So dividends, royalties, interest earned, rental income, capital gains on financial assets pay zero tax in Portugal under this scheme. However, individuals who previously benefit from the other tax regimes like NHR, the first one, and the return program are not eligible. So you cannot reapply again for this scheme. Important to know is that anything coming from a blacklisted jurisdiction, and every country has their own blacklisted jurisdiction list, will have no tax benefits and will be highly taxed at a rate of 35%. As for the US citizens, you can also benefit from this regime. However, I'm afraid to say, and you all know it, you will always have to pay taxes back to the US, regardless whether you are a resident or a non-resident. Very important, especially for the US and the Americans, is Portugal in the States, so they are aligned when filing your tax returns in the two countries. Having said all of that, I just wanted to give you a little bit of information about Black Tower Financial Management and how we can help you. So Black Tower is a firm that provides financial planning and advisory services across the world. We are regulated and operate under the oversight of financial regulatory authorities in all the jurisdictions we operate in. We offer assistance with investment management, retirement planning, tax planning, and estate planning. We aim to support clients in managing their wealth and achieving their financial goals. We have offices all over the country, all over the world actually, but would like to highlight that not too many financial management companies in Portugal have offices that are regulated in both Portugal and US. Actually, I don't even know of any. And therefore, we are able to service Americans, clients in both jurisdictions. And this is very important because you will need to have assets back in the States, you'll have to have assets here, and you have to file tax returns in both countries. In Portugal, we have offices with qualified advisors servicing the whole country, and we have clients from all over the world. So I look forward to welcoming you to Portugal, and hopefully we can help you.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Manuela. And again, if There's a lot of important information there, but don't worry, we will be sending out to all of our viewers today an email with all of these important points detailed on them so you can look back. Okay, so I think it's time finally to hand over to Chloe, who's going to talk to us about international money transfers and currency exchange.
Thank you.
Chloe.
So, hi everyone, my name's Chloe. I'm one of our senior client account managers at Lumon Pay. So, a little bit about who Lumon are first of all. So, we are an international currency company and we're payment specialists helping our clients to save money and securely transfer money abroad. We've been doing this for over 25 years now and helped owners along the way. Last year we moved between about £8 and £9 billion through our dealing desk and we're based out in London, but now have also expanded to have offices in Spain, France and also in Portugal as well. We also do have plans to extend into some more current countries soon as well, so hopefully some new offices on the horizon. So in terms of how we can help, obviously buying a property is a big thing and the finances have to be right, that's the bottom line. And Lumon, we're here to help take a weight off your shoulders, navigate the local regulations and processes, which unless you've done this process before is a bit of a scary thing to do. And this is our bread and butter, we're doing this every day for lots and lots of clients. So we know the process back to front, and the benefit of obviously using us is we do work with a lot of partners out in these countries. We've got about 2,200 partners referring to us and constantly onboarding new ones as well. So in good hands with us. Also in terms of how we can help versus a bank, we've got a team of dedicated account managers. So if you're on board with us and open an account, you will have a point of contact that helps with the whole process from start to finish. So it's a bit different than when you're doing a transfer through your bank. You don't have that one person there that knows your personal situation inside out. So you get to work with your account manager and find out what sort of our product portfolios is right for you and your individual situation, because every property purchase is slightly different and the ways that you need to navigate currency risk is something massive as well. Obviously, the news is very uncertain times at the moment, and the money and the impact this is having on clients is absolutely huge. So if we look sort of over the last few months, just as an example, between now and January, we've lost about 10 cents on dollar to euro. So that's about 107,000 euros worse off clients are. So, making sure that you time your transfer right is really important, and that's how we can help come in. So with our account managers that we've got at Lumon, we've got some who have been here as long as the company has been in existence. That's 25 years, and they've seen the industry change and develop, and regulations have changed a lot as well, and we're obviously well versed in all of that. So for our US clients, the way that we service you is through Currency Cloud. Currency Cloud are part of Visa Group, and they trade upwards of $1 billion per month, so they're an industry giant. And the Currency Cloud platform basically enables us to trade clients in all 50 states, and it's registered with FinCEN to provide the necessary regulations and obviously safeguard your funds in the appropriate way. Once the conversion has been completed and the funds are with us, with Lumon, we are authorised by the Financial Conduct Authority, which means the way that your funds are held separately to company funds. We have to have higher regulation than that of your high street bank. So obviously with them, it's about 85,000. With us, we have to safeguard the entire amount so your funds are safe, which is obviously one of the most important things. So in terms of why you would use Lumon over your bank, number one, control over payments and planning. So obviously with, like I said, all this uncertainty going on in the news, if we look at what's happening in Russia and Ukraine, Donald Trump's tariffs, it means that things are changing so rapidly. Even hour to hour, things are developing, headlines are coming out, and for you guys looking to potentially do a purchase, that can cause a huge amount of volatility and really impact the amount you're needing to spend. So we've got a range of different contract options that you can take out, and basically mean that if, for example, you're doing a property purchase in 3 months' time, and the rate is where you see it being a good level for you at the moment and you can afford to book your transfer, but the funds aren't liquid yet, we've got something known as a forward contract. We also have things called limit orders. Limit orders enable you to choose your desired level, and if that level becomes available in the market, that contract fills and secures the currency for you. So a few different things we can run through, and obviously we have to tailor that to what's best for you. Also, financial market expertise, of course. Dealer's been doing this over 25 years. You get to benefit with having your account manager talk to you about what's going on, and most importantly, make sure that you're making the decision at the right time for you. We can't give advice. Of course, we don't know what's going to happen. If we did, we'd all be on our yacht somewhere, not working. But obviously, we can give you information and help you to make the right decision. So in terms of the market and what's been going on, as I said, the market has moved a little bit south over the last few months. And if we look at market predictions, we look at these every single day in our office and provide this information to clients to help them make the right decision for them. If we look, for example, at Bank of New Zealand, they're predicting over the next 12 months, markets could move a further about 10 cents or so against us. So in terms of a $1 million transfer, that's about, €1 million transfer, it could be about $200,000 more expensive. So as I said, timing the exchange right and speaking with your designated account manager is of paramount importance. So how we help our customers every single day, most importantly, offering outstanding value. We wouldn't be in business if we couldn't offer you outstanding rates. We want to beat the banks, which we've had no problem doing, and we also offer no transfer fees. Every business is slightly different in how they offer rates. We all have access to the same interbank levels that you see online, and as I said, different range of products and exchange options, which means we can choose what's right for you. Peace of mind is another huge one. The fact that you can pick up the phone and speak to your account manager is something that I think a lot of people don't realize necessarily when dealing with these online-based companies. You can't speak to somebody on the phone if something goes wrong or the market's in a position where you think, I want to lock in my deal. You can't just call them. With us, you know that we'll be on the other side of the phone ready to talk to you and help you through the whole process. And of course, convenience. You can also facilitate exchanges online. You don't necessarily need to call us. This is particularly good for once you've secured the property and need to do smaller transfers, covering bills and expenses. We've got that as well. So I'll talk you through briefly the journey of a client. So if you were to open up an account with us, step one, you'll have an initial conversation with a member of our onboarding team. They'll take down your details, talk you through everything, and make sure that if you have any questions initially before you get assigned a dealer, they can answer those for you. So you can register for that account over the phone or online, and that's free of charge. Once you get paired with your dealer, you can obviously go through what you're needing, what you're wanting us to help with, and they can provide an insight into the currency markets and help you with the next steps. Once you're ready to actually book in the exchange, as I said, different options, and we can go through all of that for you. And once you've done that, you can then set up any payments that you need. So it's a relatively easy process to open, and obviously our account managers are here to help. In terms of how to get in touch, we'll share, as I said, all the information afterwards. But yeah, that's everything from me.
Thank you so much, Chloe, and thank you all for giving such insight and depth and for sharing your experiences with all. I have been passed some questions that have been sent through to us while we've been recording. Philip, if I could start with you, perhaps. Mm-hmm. I've been asked, what makes Boavista stand out from other Algarve resorts for real estate investment? What would you say?
Well, I think first off, I would put there the maturity of the development. Basically, we've been going for more than almost 30 years now. The resort is coming to a close. We're pretty much got the less than last third to go. So there is all the facilities are pretty much in. So people know what they're buying. They can see it, they can touch it, they can feel it. So that is one very strong aspect that we have from our competitors. The services are all established, so that is something they can see, feel, and touch.
That sets you apart. Thank you, Philip. One for you here, Vicky. I've been asked, how important is professional legal support in the visa application process, especially for Americans?
Well, Daisy, if you think about it, we're talking about a completely new jurisdiction, a different language, a different legal system. And I think you need the comfort of someone who's experienced to walk you through the process. It's not always straightforward. There are a lot of steps involved, a lot of documents involved, a lot of time-sensitive documents involved that you need to have in order to submit. So I think it's always beneficial to have someone to hold your hand and guide you through that process.
That makes sense, of course. Teresa, one for you. What are the most common legal risks or oversights in property purchases, and how can buyers protect themselves?
Okay, I think it is the due diligence process. It's where the documents are analyzed, the documents of the property, where we can check the ownership, the history of the property. Also, it's possible to check that if there's illegal works, if there's any charges against the property. So that would be the main step to be undertaken. And then, of course, have a safeguarding promissory contract afterwards.
Of course. Manuela, we've been sent in one for you. What are the key tax considerations that Americans should know before moving to Portugal?
Okay, so like I said earlier, Americans should first be aware that they remain subject to US taxation on their worldwide income, even while living abroad. In Portugal, the very famous NHR scheme is no longer available. It closed new applicants as of 2024. However, there is a new scheme, so find out about that one. It does give some very good tax benefits. Americans should also ensure that compliance with FATCA and FBAR and work with a cross-border advisor to explore tax treaties, income sources, and potential restructuring of their assets before moving. So key is advanced planning. This is critical. This is a must, not just for Americans, but for anyone and everyone thinking of relocating to Portugal. There are things you will need to do before your move, things you will need to do after your move. And if you have a plan and you plan ahead, you will be able to take advantage of benefits that maybe the government is able to give you in both jurisdictions. And this will also mean that you'll probably minimize your tax liability. So that's key.
Thank you, Manuela. We've got one for you as well, Chloe, don't worry. Do you offer tools to lock in favourable exchange rates for future payments?
Yes, so I just touched on briefly before. I'll give a little bit more flavour to our forward contract options. So with forward contracts, they do safeguard you from market volatility. So if you have got a big purchase coming up and you're worried that the market could move negatively against you, a huge benefit of a forward contract means with just a 10% deposit, you can lock in the rate and know exactly what your return will be and pay at the preferred date for you. And that's really important when doing big property purchases, because sizable shifts, as I touched on before, of hundreds of thousands of pounds can very quickly mean that a property that is your dream place that you want to buy becomes suddenly something that is not affordable. And so this is something we've been seeing become increasingly popular over the last few years. So that's a really beneficial option for buyers.
Fantastic. Thank you, Chloe. I think we've got time for one more, and this one's for you, Philip. Are there any upcoming developments or expansions at Boavista that investors should know about?
Yeah, well, I touched on the hotel. That's under build at the moment. That's going to send the development into another level. It's going to include our touristic footprints, and we expect the property values to increase, especially for the resale properties. But we're just now embarking on the next touristic village or residential village, Seaview. It's got a variety of product, and that's just going to be coming online now. So,
fantastic. Exciting times. Exciting times. Well, thank you, everybody, for your insights, as I've said, and thank you everybody for watching at home as well. There's only one last thing we have to do, of course, and is to announce the lucky winner of our 7-night stay right here at the Boavista Golf and Spa Resort. And I think, Philip, you've been passed the winning name. So would you like to?
I have. So the lucky winner, I hope I get this pronunciation right, is Nick Boutros. I don't know where he's from.
I don't know where he's from, no.
Okay.
Well, congratulations, Nick. We'll find out soon because he'll be here.
Yeah.
You can meet him yourself and enjoy.
We're looking forward to seeing you, Nick.
Thanks again to everyone for today, and thanks for joining us. And for all your news about everything going on in Portugal, and for more information about upcoming events such as this, don't forget to log on to www.theportugalnews.com. Thank you.